Hi everybody, my name is Hannah and this is Pepper and Pine, and today I want to share with you my preliminary schedule for the 2017-2018 school year. Now this year I will have a first grader, a sixth grader, and a 10th grader. Now my 10th grader is going to have an abridged schedule because he will be doing concurrent enrollment with the local community college, and hopefully by the end of the semester he'll be able to exit from high school officially and become a full-time community college student. So for him, I have scheduled a couple of lightweight classes in our home because he will be taking math and English in community college. Now, he is currently taking the first set of math and English classes right now in the summer, and he will then move on to the next level come fall. And because those classes will require a lot of his time, the classes that I have scheduled for him at home hopefully will not be too time consuming. Now the additional classes that I have set up for him I hope are super exciting. Well, one of them I don't know if it's going to be exciting or not, but it's driver's ed. So that's just something that he has to do. Our children need to get their licenses when they're 16 so they can drive themselves to and from college, and so that is something that he is going to need to work on because he will be 16 in this next school year. The other classes I have set up for him are a life skills class to help him figure out how to organize his work and his class schedules and when he has to turn in homework and those kinds of things that we have not had to do so far in our homeschooling since things don't progress the same way as they do in college. So I am going to put together a class for him that doesn't just include those kinds of life skills, but also things like how to do laundry and how to cook meals, and actually that's a separate one. But just those normal life skills that you should have, we're going to do those. Now, my kids and we all share the workload in the home, so they all are familiar with the different chores and how to do them, but having that as part of our curriculum I think is going to be important because he'll get some dedicated time to learn all of those skills. The other thing that I'm super excited about is a cooking class. Now recently my friend Tanya over at Project Happy Home shared a free box from HelloFresh. It is one of those food subscription boxes where they send you everything you need in order to make some meals, and we absolutely loved it. Now one of the additional perks from this was that it turned into a little mini cooking class by itself, and that wasn't intended. You think that you're just getting food and it's easy to make food and then you have a nice meal and you eat it and that's it. But what ended up happening was that my kids got so involved in it, especially my 10-year-old. He was really excited about when the box was coming and what was going to be inside and which meal we were going to have first, and then eventually he started actually cooking along with me and chopping up the things that needed to be chopped up, and then I felt like this is my cookbook come to life. This is so valuable as a cooking class that we can do together. So I intend to include that in our curriculum for the upcoming year. When you look at it as a cooking class, I think the value is extraordinary, and if you're just looking at it as a way to replace meals, then the price can be a little bit steep. So I am really excited about that option. Now my 10-year-old is also going to participate in cooking class because actually watching him enjoy it so much gave me the idea to use HelloFresh as our cooking class. We wanted to include cooking as, it's actually included in all of our unit studies, but oftentimes I will prepare the meals and then showcase them to my kids, and it becomes kind of something to celebrate. But this time around I want my kids involved in it more often. And also this works really well with my first grader, whom I'm still going to do a lot of kindergarten work with her because I'm not quite ready for her to be a first grader since she is 6.5. She'll turn 7 later in the school year. And so we are going to do mostly kindergarten work this year with a little bit of first grade work kind of mid-year into the end of the year. At least that's the preliminary plan. We'll see how it goes. So for my 5th grader, or rather he's 6th grade. For my 6th grader, we had intended to finish up some of the unit studies that we did not complete this previous year. Now, if you've been following along on my channel, you probably noticed that mid-year we started all of our history units. Now, I knew that I had bitten off way more than I could chew when I decided to put these different history units together, but I also knew that whatever we didn't do this past year, I would roll over to this coming up year. Well, that's not happening. We got through maybe a third of our history units, and then something happened. Aside from those units coming to an end and starting our spring units, during the late school year, early summertime, I pulled out a lot of my older 2 children's main lesson books to share with you, and you can check out that video. It's linked above, below, and at the end of this video. Now, in that video, I showcased so many of my children's main lesson books, and what this did was it really inspired my 10-year-old to do some of the subjects that I showed you in those main lesson books. So instead of progressing with our American history unit studies, we are actually going to go back in time and do the Middle Ages and Roman history. Now, this works out just fine in my opinion, because later on in the Waldorf curriculum, U.S. history is a subject in 8th grade. And there's a little bit of an introduction of it in 7th grade. Now, in our homeschooling journey, we have had to combine grades very often in order to do our science or our history and occasionally other subject areas, because it just wasn't feasible for us to do multiple main lessons. So whereas U.S. history was something that we were going to do actually maybe 2 years ago, and this was mainly for, at the time, my 8th grader, it ended up getting pushed back a year for my 9th grader and my 5th grader. And that's just sometimes what happens, but it wasn't really what was intended for my 5th grader if he was just doing homeschool without his older sibling. So this year, now he can take center stage and we can do something that's more authentic to his grade level with the curriculum. Now, this is something that happens a lot, where I would love it if it was like more chronological order when it came to history, but it's just a fact of life that sometimes things are not going to go perfectly as planned. And that's okay. And so we are going to dive in more officially to the 6th grade Waldorf curriculum by Live Education. Now, I have that curriculum here. Now, you can get a full review of the 6th grade curriculum. That link is in the description box below, where I go through the entire curriculum. I even show you some of the materials that you need and even how to set up your block schedule. Now, in this curriculum, we're definitely going to get to the physics main lesson block, but we won't do that until the spring. We are totally going to skip the algebra. In fact, I don't even think it's intended for the 6th grade student. I might have put this one in here by accident because I have all of their curriculum, and if you notice on the front, it doesn't say what grade it is, and so I went ahead and added my own labels, and I think I just mislabeled this one because I actually have another algebra book, and it is for 7th or 8th grade. The sentence sounds a melody. This is the English grammar main lesson block, and this one goes really well as a longer block that can run parallel to one of the other main lesson blocks. So I'm not sure how we're going to use this particular main lesson. We will see. Nature, number, and geometry. The last time we did geometry a couple of years ago was the 5th grade geometry. This is the 6th grade geometry now, and my son, who is going into 6th grade, was in 4th grade the last time we did this, and he really enjoyed it. So I am really happy that there is a continuation on that main lesson block, and we're definitely going to be getting into that. Now, we're going to start out the school year with a block in mineralogy. as well as astronomy. Now these are two subject areas that we have recently done. Last year we did geology, so it's similar to mineralogy, but it is different. I really didn't like the way that unit study came together. It was a unit study, I did not follow the curriculum, and so I am eager to try this one again, make it a short unit study, or rather a short main lesson block, and use the curriculum a little bit more accurately. In fact, the last time I didn't do it at all, I just did my own thing. Also, we're going to do astronomy. Now this is one of my favorite main lesson blocks, and for this main lesson block I picked up a main lesson book that is new to me. It's gorgeous. It's 12 by 9, and you have your white pages as well as your blue pages, and on your blue pages you can draw your constellations, and on your white pages you can do your written narration. So I'm really excited about this one. It's amazing quality. It's really nice. So the other subject areas for the 6th grade student are the Middle Ages, which we did about 4 years ago, and my son loved it. So we're going to do this again, but the last time we did it as a unit study, and we did not follow the curriculum. So we're going to follow the curriculum this time. So we have a lot of resource material available for this one, as well as a lot of hands-on projects that we're starting to replenish because my kids really enjoyed doing it the first time around. Alright, so the last two books are two more history main lesson blocks, and one is on Greek history and the other one is on Roman history. Now we did both of these units in the last few years, but we did them as unit studies and not as main lesson blocks, and so I'm excited to actually go through the main lesson block because the last time we did this was with my first son, so it's exciting to go back through these main lesson blocks. Now in the 5th grade year there is the mythology of ancient Greece, and so we may pull out some of those mythology books in order to complement this main lesson block. And the other thing I want to show you, and I'll have more details of this as the planning kind of solidifies, but I recently picked up this book and it's called Physics the Waldorf Way, and this is for grade 6. There's also one for grade 7 and grade 8. These are the revised editions which work really well for the homeschooling family. They're by Roberto Trostli. And I will leave the link in the description box of where you can find these. They are affordably priced and I picked them up from Amazon. So those are some of the things that I'm going to be using for my 6th grade student, and that was a little different than what I had originally planned since we did geology last year. I didn't intend to do it again this year, and since we were already doing a lot of our US history, I expected that we were going to finish that, but that's okay. I think that this will actually turn out to be a better option. Okay, so on to my 1st grader. Now she is 6.5 and technically in 1st grade, but in the Waldorf curriculum she could still be in kindergarten up until she is 7, and that's what I intend to do. So I will be starting out the school year with a lot more kindergarten oriented activities, and then maybe adding in a little bit of form drawing throughout the year, and then closer to the end of the year I may begin on some of the more traditional 1st grade curriculum, but I don't mind completely waiting until next year to officially do 1st grade with her. Now because she is my last child, I really want to do some activities with her that are kindergarten geared, that are really meant for her, rather than what ends up happening with the younger children in my family is that they end up tagging along on the activities that the older children are doing. So I want to spend some time really dedicated to her activities. Now last year we did a number of kindergarten activities, and you can see that playlist. It's linked in the description box below as well as at the end of this video. And we are planning to do a lot of those same activities, so I probably won't have new videos on them, but certainly at the end of the season I will share with you the things that we did, and I will link those videos so that you can see some of the projects and activities that we did as part of her kindergarten curriculum. Now we also intend to add new things. I have a lot of things planned that are seasonal, since we are not going to be participating in a lot of the festivals and celebrations that are typically found in a Waldorf kindergarten curriculum. We are going to substitute those with a lot more seasonal activities, and I think this will be a nice way to merge our own beliefs with the curriculum. So we have a lot of fun things planned, especially for fall, since it's my favorite season. So we have a number of different handcraft activities as well as tons of recipes that we want to do, which reminds me that baking is a huge thing, that is a big tradition in kindergarten, and so we intend to do that as well. That works really well with the cooking classes that I intend to have for my 6th grader and my 10th grader. So I think that those things are going to work really well together. And then towards the end of the year, I may consider adding a few more things that are more typical of 1st grade. So if any of you were looking forward to seeing what develops with our 1st grade curriculum, I'm really sorry that you have to wait a little bit longer, but I really want to take this opportunity to do almost 2 full years of kindergarten with my daughter, which will include a lot of stories. She'll be involved in morning activities, maybe circle time if we can arrange it just with her. My 10-year-old, who's almost 11, is now definitely moving out of that phase of enjoying the things that she's doing. There's a couple of things that he still enjoys, but last year he was really into a lot of the activities that she was doing. But I can really see him transitioning out of that same kind of enjoyment. So it's possible that I might be doing things just with her, or maybe with her and a couple of friends, so that she has that nice community feel with the projects that she's doing. Alright, so those are the preliminary plans for this school year. I would love to hear your thoughts on what you decide to do for the 2017-2018 school year. You can leave them in the comment section below. If you want to check out some of those videos that I talked about during this video, you can check them out right here. I'll just wait. You may choose whichever one you like. They're all pretty good. Come on, I know you want to click one of them. Go ahead. I'll wait. But I'm only waiting for 20 seconds.